sees the means of production, and the like and subscribe button. Boomer operating the goddamn Zoom call.
They wouldn't let us go into the actual tent. They let us stand at the door. They opened the door. There was about 6 security guards standing there, kind of pushing us back, but we could see in and we could hear everybody. And when
So wait, they didn't even let you see anything then? They didn't even let you in the tents? They just let you like peek in through the door?
Doors open, you know, what I saw made my heart sink. I saw 32 people per cage, about 6 cages in the one tent. I saw a lot of people, young men who looked like me and people who were my age. People were yelling, help me, help me. I heard in the back someone say, I'm a U.S. citizen. And as we were walking away, they started chanting, libertad, 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 freedom. And in looking into these cages, you could see, of course, it was warm and hot within the tent. People were sweating. Some people had taken off the top of their clothing because it was just so hot. Some of them were drenched in sweat. The food we saw is not enough food. They're being fed essentially a small sandwich and a bag of chips. And not just that, but the conditions outside, of course, it's blazing hot. And the fact that
so it's a concentration camp. It is unambiguously a concentration camp. That's not remotely the camps we had down at the border during the child separation, like the camps that we built to facilitate the first Trump policy, first Trump term policies, were also concentration camps. But these are concentration camps in the most like straightforward, like textual definition. Like you don't need to stretch any lines or anything. It's just, yeah. We're doing Japanese internment except without a war this time. Well, listen, not to compare two bad bitches or anything, but I think the character of what's happening right now is potentially quite a bit worse. Not to say that what happened with the Japanese wasn't monstrous, but like the character of the internment, the way it's taking place, the tone of the administration, which is overtly like genocidal. I don't know.
The cage comes from the toilet. Number one, not everyone's going to be able to drink as much water as they'd like to because of that inconvenience, but also it's gross and it's disgusting. And this is where people are being held.
Wait.
And the fact that the cage comes from the toilet.
What?
For one, not everyone's going to be able to drink as much water as they'd like to because of that inconvenience, but also it's gross and it's disgusting. And this is where people are being held. I came to this tour with a binder.
Vaush, the Japanese were literally in concentration camps. I know that. I'm not disputing the fact that the Japanese were in concentration camps at all. Those were also definitionally concentration camps, 100%.
Full of questions. There are questions in this binder. They have accounts of people in the detention facility in the binder. And I also have some names of a few constituents or people who have family members that are constituents. And my intention was to go speak with these individuals. We were denied the ability to speak with any of the detainees there, but I was told by the staff with notice I would be able to meet with whomever I want to meet with. Another question that many local organizers, lawyers, and family had: under what authority are they keeping people in this facility? Is it a state facility or is it a federal facility? We had state legislators go to the internment camp last week, and they were denied entry, essentially being told, well, it's more of a federal facility. We were planning.
That's actually a really good point, because federal funds have been appropriated, but this was officially handed off to the state. This is a federally funded state project. But if that's the case, state officials should be able to visit at will. Like, I mean, members of Congress have the right to visit federal officials anyway, because if you're a member of Congress, you have the ability to exercise oversight over federal facilities. You're literally a federal lawmaker. But state officials have been denied entry to the camp. It's like an illegal gray zone. Well, it's not an illegal gray zone. They're just breaking the law, like unambiguously. They're creating this. This is what I mean about how terrifying this is. The people in these camps could disappear and no one would know. They built them there so journalists can't access it. They didn't even want to show Frost or the other people the inside of these tents. You've got people screaming, you know, I'm a citizen, help, help, so on. And if you're selectively denying both federal and state officials the ability to access it,
An unannounced trip this morning, and somehow the state caught wind of it and decided to invite us to come instead. We know that the reason they invited us is because they wanted it to be an announced trip so they could clean stuff up. But I can tell you, even though they had time to get stuff together and clean things up and make the conditions quote unquote better, the cage is still a cage. The conditions are still bad. They
need to be sent with marshals. I understand this is extreme, but like this is getting ridiculous. They're building concentration camps and keeping people from going in. A judge needs to authorize marshals to accompany state and federal officials. They need to go in with 20 men and say like, if you stop us, like you are getting arrested. Like the camp, the Auschwitz guards they have at the camp are not going to risk arrest or death over stopping like a member of Congress backed by marshals. There's no way. They are not paid to do that, okay? Sure, but how do you make that happen in Florida? It doesn't matter. Just judge has to authorize it. They just have to get the marshals. Issue is marshals are under the DOJ, so they just won't. Yeah, but like the DOJ doesn't directly control all the marshals. They're like under the purview, but a lot of people are under the executive branch, you know? And if they did do that, by the way, like that would be its own line in the sand, right? Like if the Department of Justice is like, nope, no marshals allowed, no judge can allow marshals to accompany any lawmakers entering these facilities, no one allowed, then that's like eventually you have to start calling these bluffs because otherwise they'll get away with anything. They will kill these people and throw them into the marsh. Like you don't know law is over until you challenge it.
Not allow us to look at the they are using right now. They brought us into a brand new cage that they had just built that they're hoping they can get online in the next week. But they wouldn't let us go into to see the actual toilets that the people are using. When I asked why, they said, well, it's to keep us safe. But they were in the cage. And I think it's because they didn't want us to see the important condition.
And yeah, if the marshals are difficult, get private security. There are members of Congress with more than enough money to marshal private security. If a member of Congress has the right to inspect the facility, they could absolutely make the argument that their guards do too. 100%. That's not at all out of line. And if they say no, then you say, well, then make me. It's their authority. You're a member of Congress. You have authority. You're not just a guy.
Of the toilets and the bathrooms. We've heard reports even from constituents that are in the facility.
To be clear, I'm not talking about Maxwell Frost here. A move like that would have to be done with like real authority. I think a senator, a junior congressman, like trying to buy up private security and go in, that would be unwise. You would need to move with some real like muscle, essentially.
That even though there's 3 bathrooms, oftentimes only one of the toilet is working. We've heard multiple reports of backup of the toilets being backed up and feces being essentially sprayed everywhere. So all in all, every Floridian should be ashamed of the fact that our taxpayer money is being used for this internment camp where people are in horrible conditions.
Concentration camp.
In the hot Florida sun. And we said this before I said it before I got there, and I say it even louder now. The other thing I'll say is we were able to ascertain that essentially this is a facility that is operated by the state. The state is using their Office of Emergency Management to run the whole operation. This is the same office and staff that are supposed to help us when there's a hurricane. And we're in hurricane season now. It's a gross misuse of resources to dehumanize immigrants and dehumanize people who were all...
Any senator on the Appropriations Committee literally has top secret security clearance because they can do... No, for sure. Like people, it's just important to remember that these aren't regular people, okay? Maxwell Frost is closer to being a regular person, but there are Democratic members of the Senate who could just march on a facility if they wanted to. It's not an exaggeration. That's not LARP. They have the clearance necessary to do that. And if they wanted to bring security, they could do it. And if people said, no, you're not allowed, they would say, yes, I am. And that would be that. So why aren't they doing that? Because they still think that there is a way out of this but through. At the end of the game, or sorry, at the end of the day, politics is a game. And if you are willing to put your nuts on the table and the other guy isn't, you win, okay? It's all bluffs. The fascists will always win as long as they're more daring than you, okay? But if you show up with a private security force and demand entry with a bunch of cameras behind you, that's that. And if they fight you on that, then it's civil war. If a member of I mean, honestly, any senator, but Senate Appropriations Committee was denied or shown violence because they tried to exercise their legally enshrined right to oversee federal facilities with security present, then that would be like an actual re-secure the National Guard, form a line around the border of the blue states type of moment. Yeah.
Latino men in this facility. So, my heart is broken leaving this place. It was very emotional to see people caged like that, to see humans caged like that at a time where we have such wealth and equality in this country, where the president just signed a bill that's going to take away healthcare from 2 million Floridians, 17 million people in this country, taking away nutritional assistance, doing nothing to help with the cost of housing, all of these issues. And what's happening? The governor of this state is using our taxpayers.
Well, members of Congress have the right to oversee federal facilities. They do. The clearance would just excise any excuse the state could use. They would still say, like, that's okay. You heard Maxwell Frost say it earlier. You heard him say it earlier that the Florida government caught wind of the fact that a bunch of lawmakers wanted to see the camp, so they invited them and made it a tour. That's because they know they can't stop him. If Maxwell Frost wanted to, he could turn the car around right now at this point in the video and go back for a round 2. He could stay there for as long as he wanted to. He has the right to oversight. They know they have to give them viewing. But when they do like say you can't see the medical facilities, or no, you can't go inside, you're just going to peer in, that's when you as a member of Congress say, bullshit, fuck you. I'll see whatever the fuck I want to. And then you push past them with your security team. That's your right. You have the right to do that. Stop me. It's not aura farming. It's legally their right. Wouldn't this give them a lot of street cred too? I mean, genuinely, like, this is one of the reasons why I'm surprised more stuff like this hasn't happened. It would be amazing for your career. Gavin Newsom realized this. That's why Trump and Homan were threatening to arrest Newsom. Newsom said, fuck, do it. And they said, we won't. Because he understood that if he got arrested, he would be our next president. He would be the 48th, you know? Any congressperson who essentially used force to legitimize their legal right to federal oversight, like if that turned nasty, if they got arrested for it, they would be a national hero.
Your money for a stunt, and it's not a stunt with 0 victims. It's a stunt that is using humans, and I'm going to continue to.
I don't like this. Also, it's not a stunt. Like, Auschwitz wasn't a stunt. It's just the thing. Like, the concentration camps are the point of the thing. They're not, like, they like to showboat over it, but a stunt implies that it's not real, like a stunt actor, right? It's real. They're building concentration camps and throwing people in them without due process, with like masked Gestapo who'll go from neighborhood to neighborhood and kill and arrest people without impunity, or with impunity, sorry.
Right, for the dignity and respect of immigrants in this country who are not poisoning the blood of this nation, but are a part of the nation. I'm the proud son of a Cuban refugee. I will be back to this facility at a time and a date of my own choosing. I don't need permission from anyone to go into that facility, which is a facility.
What is Vaush? What is Vaush talking about? They would arrest that senator. That's what Ross Baraka did. Ross Baraka was not a member of Congress. He was the mayor. He didn't have the authority, so that's why they arrested him and didn't go after the Democratic congresswoman who was with him. Vaush is forgetting what happened when they tried already. They didn't. At that facility in Newark, the 2 Democratic congresswomen, they tried some bullshit, oh, she is an ICE officer stuff, which is why you need to go with security, so they form a protective ring around you. But they didn't. They went after Baraka because he was a mayor. He didn't have the federal authority of oversight. They did, which is why they didn't go after it. They know there are consequences to really going after a member of Congress. You need to exercise that power. What's the point of having this power? Like, so you make up 49% of the government instead of the 51%, and that means you have no authority whatsoever? That's not how it works. Remember back in the early days of this administration, I guess that was just a few months ago, when a bunch of Democratic members of Congress rolled up to that building that had been closed by Doge? Remember? There was a private security guard, not anyone with any federal authority, but a private security guard guarding it, and they all just stayed there. You know, they could have just, like, gone in the building, right? That was a federal office. They're members of Congress. They could have just gone in. If it was locked, they get security to break it open. They shouldn't dirty their hands with it, because that would make things more complicated for them. Oh, you're locking the door? You don't have the authority to do that. I actually can go in. I can do whatever the f I want, actually. One private security guard is enough to stop a bunch of Democratic Congress people? Ridiculous. Get security. Every single Democratic member of Congress should have a security firm working with them, or multiple. When the Trump administration tries to block you from something, from doing something that is legally your right, they take the heat. That's what they're paid for, okay?
Facility where they get the direction from ICE. So that's what I have to say, and we'll open it up for questions.
Michael Jones, I'll go ahead and pass it to you first.
Okay.
Hey, Congressman, it's Michael Jones from Once Upon a Hill. Good to see you. Hope you're doing all right. Thanks for doing this. I wanted to ask, I know that the center is, stood up by the state, but it's in partnership with DHS. And so I'm wondering, since we're in appropriations...
The most fucked up thing about that happening in DC, by the way, is what do you think would happen to anyone who was arrested for obstructing a congressman in their legal right to exercise federal oversight? What do you think would happen to anyone arrested? Do you have any idea what the judge circuit is like in DC? Do you have any idea how dem-aligned those judges are? Any private security officer who got thrown to them, who the AG went after them and they got thrown to the circuit, they would be sent to the goddamn mines. Okay? We don't even have words for the shit they would be sentenced to, okay? You have so much power. The only lesson that I've gotten from this, honestly, is that most Democrats genuinely don't know what to do if somebody tells them they can't do a thing they can legally do. Like, if you're in your house and you're chilling and a guy breaks in and they say, get out of my house, in America, you can shoot them. Maybe in other countries you can't, but in America, if a guy breaks into your house and demands you leave, you can just draw a firearm and end their life. I think a Democratic congressperson would just leave the house. Not legal advice. I mean, you can check the law, but if a person breaks into your house, you have pretty wide discretion. Congresswoman Maxine Waters tried to force her way into the ICE detention center in LA, but they pulled the door shut. Yeah, you need security. That's exactly what I mean. Like, what do you...
No, I want you to... Hello. Congresswoman Waters, I just came to use my congressional authority to check on David.
Ma'am, we're lobbying security now to all visitors.
Excuse me, I need to get in.
She's not a visitor. She's a congresswoman with congressional oversight. The answer here is move or you'll be arrested. Here are my marshals.
Public apparel.
I need to get in.
Like, ridiculous. Look, what's the point of having power? Genuinely, what the fuck is the point of having power?